So one key report that is being considered by manufacturers and those in the agri sector since yesterday was the first quarter 2018 trade and trade balance report that you heard from Bismarck Rawani, the CEO at Financial Derivatives, giving us his first word and breaking it down a little bit for us. But let's bring that conversation from the macro level to the man on the street, and how does that affect prices of those agricultural goods locally when we see more of our exports. But again, Rawani says we have more of self-sufficiency locally. And so how does that affect my pocket and yours? Also from FTC, this is one of the research analysts, Adimo Kwesa, is here for the second time this week, and I think he has more good news today than not so good news. Good morning.
Morning, boss.
Rightly?
Yes, that's true.
A bit more of good news.
Yes, of course.
Than not so good news.
Yes, of
course.
So
let's just take it from the top in terms of what are burning right now. I'm sure the trade balance report is one of the burning stories.
Yes, excellent. Yes, indeed. Trade surplus increased 35% to $5.56 billion in Q1 2018. But we have only recorded 2 trade deficits in the last 30 years. So I think this is, it's fair to say, it's good that we have maintained a trade surplus. And what also struck me is agricultural exports was up 24% in Q1 2018, which accounted for 1.5% of total exports. So you can see that we are making, there's evidence that shows that we are making progress towards diversifying the economy. Also, like you mentioned earlier, manufactured goods jumped about 600% in Q1 2018. So that was also excellent news too. And also, but although it's not necessarily a bad thing, there's a bit of a contradiction between between this trade profile, and the government's policy agenda. Under the Economic Recovery and Growth Plan, we want to diversify the economy. However, our agricultural exports are still we're not producing enough for exports.
No, we're not. We're still scratching the surface. If you look at the country's landmass, if you look at the climate that we have, if you look at all the resources, rivers and streams and land, arable lands from all the way from the north to the south, we're just scratching the surface in terms of what our total agricultural output will be. But of course, let's take what we have and pat ourselves on the back.
I think we have attained self-sufficiency in key commodities, for example, rice, wheat, not wheat yet, but rice in particular, we attain self-sufficiency in that. But I don't think we can do both at the same time. That is, boost agricultural exports and attain self-sufficiency. We have, for example, because of this boost in domestic production, prices have actually come down a lot, significantly. So
folks are interested in local self-sufficiency. That's where they say charity begins at home.
Yes, so that is definitely trickle down into consumers' pockets. Consumers wouldn't have to pay as much for domestic commodities. So that is good news for commodities. However, I think if we want to boost exports to non-oil exports, I think we have to address the fundamental issues, including poor infrastructure. And I think more importantly, we have to deepen our integration, not only with the world, but also regionally. I think the African Continental Free Trade Area provides hope for that deeper regional integration. Nigeria is still hesitating, but I think there's hope that we would sign that agreement eventually. I think Africa is a fast-growing economy. There's so many fast-growing economies in Africa. Economies like Ivory Coast, Ghana, Tanzania, Rwanda, and so on and so forth. And I think those economies are big markets for agricultural produce and manufacturing produce. And I also think that the claim that Nigeria's manufacturing produce is not competitive, I think the trade profile debunks that claim. Our manufacturing exports jumped 600%. And also, what also struck me was that Africa was the second largest destination for both our agricultural products and manufacturing products. So I think
that's surprising.
That is surprising. So
yeah, we're increasing intra-Africa trade.
Yes. So there's significant potential. We can boost those exports to. We can boost intra-Africa trade even more, so that the Nigeria Open Trade Negotiation Area Forum.
The CFTA. We just take advantage of that. But I'll take a look at the week for us in terms of the FX, on the FX side, before we got down with the burning issues. The one story that crept in 2 days ago was that we've been able to clear the FX arrears or for the international airlines, and now it looks like we have a blue ocean. We're not owing anybody,
Yes,
technically
indeed.
speaking.
Yes, indeed. I think that is very good news. We're free. It's just a reminder, but however, it's a reminder of this recurring foreign exchange crisis, and also speaks to our reliance on oil, which is a fundamental weakness of the economy. We're subject to this boom and bust cycles, and also speaks to the importance of boosting our non-oil exports, or else we'll just have another foreign exchange crisis, and also we'll just go back to this issue of owing airlines billions of dollars.
It looks like a little bit of a very positive week on the FX side, because oil prices started coming back after U.S. says OPEC should add 1 million barrels per day and that is one head-scratching story, I'm sure, for OPEC meeting on June 22nd.
Yes, indeed. I think that was, yes, like you said, head-scratching. But I think all is up today on news that the Venezuela State Oil Firm is likely to declare a force majeure, yes, because it's struggling with...
Venezuela is on its knees,
yes,
practically
it's
speaking.
struggling to produce oil. So that piece of information provided a boost to oil prices. So we're still about $76 per barrel, but that's still a fair price. About compared to a benchmark, we're over $25 higher than that. Yeah, so that is good news.
At $25 haircut on a benchmark, I think that's almost the price where we were just about 3 years ago.
Yes, that's true.
So we have what you can call an oil boom right now under the Buhari's administration.
Yes.
Yeah, this is an oil boom. If you're keeping at about 30, 35, and you're doing 75.
$70, 100% increase, yeah, so that is indeed an oil boom. Yeah.
So Buhari's administration has an oil boom. So all eyes will be on how he spends this oil boom. That is on. But in terms of bad news and the electricity issue is still a major concern as I look at what you folks put it together. Last time we discussed about the June 2nd. Now we're talking about the June 4th power generation analysis and impacts. What's the output?
Output it's still poor. We're still seeing substations collapse. So I think the major constraints remains gas constraints, grid constraints, water constraints, and that is still a challenge. And we are losing about almost 2 billion naira every day to this constraint. So I think it's a big challenge. And also because of this is a good pivot to our commodity in focus. We have pawpaw. Pawpaw is a heavily demanded commodity. It's rich in vitamin A, rich in vitamin C.
Is it for exports?
Not yet.
Not really.
No, we don't have. It doesn't have a export potential yet. But I also speak because pawpaw is highly perishable, because it requires complicated storage methods, which requires good power. You need good, stable
and
electric supply for that, for you to be able to store pawpaw. But because there's a lack of stable power, most of these products waste and we're not able to export. But we produce a sufficient amount for the domestic economy, and it is heavily demanded in I think it's eating across the country. Almost every state is produced and consumed in most every state. Yes.
But if you look at the folks at the bottom of the pyramid, technically speaking, what you call papaya, which is a botanical name for pawpaw, is what you find in the street. Folks hawk it. So yes. It's a means of livelihood for many Nigerians.
Yes. A lot of farmers are going into pawpaw farming, and I think what we're seeing is there's this contract farming. Most farmers go into a documented agreement with processing companies to buy a specified amount at a specified price, so that to mitigate this risk of fluctuating prices, and also to mitigate the risk of how perishable the product is, to avoid wastage. So that is a lot of food processing companies that are being established in Nigeria, and also we're seeing this demand for pawpaw from these companies. Yes. So that should incentivize farmers to even produce more.
So I got this very small piece of land,
yes,
and I get this contract with ABC company, for example, and they say, look, Bosun, if you can grow XY number of fruits, well, we're going to deliver XY money to you, but you got to make sure they're delivered in good condition.
Yes, yes, we're seeing that type of agreement is becoming more and more popular with farmers. So yes, I think that trend should continue, and that should also boost production.
Yeah, maybe because of the increasing number of the stores that we have, the shopping malls. Because if you go in there, you find them packaged.
Yes.
And now that's a source of business. I never thought about it. I mean, maybe I should think about it.
Yes.
I'm not sure it takes so much to grow pawpaw, by the way, anyway.
It is a fairly easy process to grow. It takes 2 to 6 years for it to start fruiting, and it is a fairly
6 years.
2 to 6 years.
2 to 6 years,
depending on the variety. Yes.
That's quite looks like a long time.
And it's actually cost about $500 to $1,000 per metric ton. So it's actually very lucrative.
If I can wait 6 years, I can make some money in 6 years' time.
You can, yes, if you have that patience, yes.
Yeah, well, good things come to those who wait.
Yes,
I think that is the story. But again, where is the market right now in terms of market prices? The table you folks sent in looks like it's all neutral as we speak. Nothing is moving, even though we're getting to the end of the Ramadan season, and we're likely to see. Folks are still a little bit upset about tomato price still.
Yes,
on the high side.
But like you said, I think we're past the peak of demand for the Ramadan season. We're approaching the end. So I think by next week, in 2 weeks' time, we should begin to see prices of those commodities that spiked. For example, like tomato, for example, like rice, maybe it should begin to trend down in the next few weeks. So yeah, that's something to look out for.
Let's hope it all work out. Quite a lot in there to chew. But thank you very much for coming.
Thank you.
We appreciate your time.